Okay. Good evening, fans. Hey, we're going to start a little bit early, but you know what? I don't care what the fans think. I'm the man in charge. I'm the man with the plan. And if I want to start my damn podcast early, I'm going to start it early. So, first of all, let's introduce our esteemed panel. The man on the bottom, the principal Tap. He's the man with the plan, the golden voice, the best commentator of Inclusion Pro Wrestling ever has. He's a all-around great guy. Above him, he doesn't need an introduction because he's just an egotistical, egg-headed moron who enjoys the no class, no wrestling talent, orange juice loving
Orange
Cassidy. That's right. The man wrestles with his damn hands in his pockets, for crying out loud. And you couldn't find a better role model than Orange Cassidy? I mean, come on.
Hey, I have bad hand dexterity. Getting my hands in my pockets is a personal triumph, sir.
I mean, come on. I mean, we all know what he does when he puts his hands in his pocket.
Family show.
But we won't go there because it's a family show. And of course, I'm the man that needs no introduction. That's right, because I'm the heartbreaker. I'm the one that everybody wants, the one that everybody tunes in to see, just to find out what quirky comments I'm going to put both of my guys through this time. And our guest underneath me, Mr. NightCrow. Thank you for joining us tonight. And finally, a man with class and dignity. So, boys, respect this man. Now,
thank you guys. It's my pleasure. My pleasure.
Now, from the Heartbreaker to the Crippled Messiah, if you can be nice, I'll let you start. No, okay.
Go ahead and start. I have to let your head kind of balloon up anyway at the beginning, otherwise you get cricky.
Oh, no. Well, I mean, it was just sounding like a bomb was going off in your room, so I thought maybe you'd want to get a head start, Oh, I forgot, though. You're in manual mode because you can't put it in electric mode because nobody wants to walk with you. That's right.
Ouch. Wow.
But go ahead and start off with the question there, Mr. Messiah.
I didn't think you were going to go to that one.
First of all, thank you guys for having me here. It's total pleasure and honor. So take it over.
So who were some of your favorite wrestlers growing up?
Wow. I first started watching a lot of Puerto Rican wrestling. I'm Puerto Rican, by the way. I'm from Puerto Rico. And there were a lot of World Wrestling Council or Capital Sport Promotion had a lot of the state wrestlers and NWA and but I was watching all that, but then the one that actually caught my eye when I was a kid was none other than Undertaker. He caught my eye make me a fan since the first match that I saw from him. Then I started watching the IWA, which is one of the other biggest wrestling companies in Puerto Rico. They had Abyss when he was doing his kind of first runs, I think, if I'm not mistaken, as Abyss. And Ricky Banderas, which is the Messiah, he did a run in TNA and also in Wrestling Society X. He's also wrestling right now in Mexico and all this stuff. So yeah, basically that was my go-to when it comes to what would be my favorite wrestlers and the first ones that I ever saw when I was a kid.
Very cool. Yeah. Ricky was the one that I kind of took the Messiah name from because I used to watch some of the Puerto Rican stuff with the IWA too. So
yeah,
when Sammy Omega was the boss and he had his own faction.
Yep. I was always attracted to that dark type of persona You know,
Yeah.
that mystic, that mysteriousness, if that's a word, uh, of characters and that stuff.
All right, Tap. What do you got?
I'm almost afraid to have him ask a question. You better be nice, young man.
Who were some of your favorite luchadors?
Luchadors right now, and I have a list which um my top first will be Dralistico. He used to be the second Mystico in Mexico and CMLL. Uh, I started watching that Mystico character when he was on on the Mask of Mystico. Um, and then I knew about the first Mystico and all that, but I was always stoked with what Dralistico has bring up to the table, and um, second would be of course Mystico, and Luciad like I Máscara Dorada, Rey Mysterio, Dragon Lee. They're in that list of my favorite like Mexican wrestlers.
Very nice.
Well, before
All
I
right.
ask my question, I'm gonna go heartbreaker again. Messiah, how dare you get in an argument about Orange Cassidy when you've got a man coming on after NightCrow who is a two belt champion? That's right. Our brother, our friend, and one of our current champions, Mr. Andrew Michelson, coming on the podcast at 8 o'clock time right after this interview. He is the current defending and reigning Evergreen champion for Inclusion Pro Wrestling, and he is the current defending and reigning family champion for Combat Pro Wrestling. So join us 8 p.m. for the good son Andrew Michelson and possibly the spoiled princess. And how dare you not respect your champion and talk about that loser, Orange Cassidy?
Hey, I respect the champion, but I can't not respect Orange Cassidy. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, well, that remains to be seen. But my question then, sir, is how much training have you put in or do you continue to put in for your craft?
Well, I've been training since I was 17 years old. Um, I'm 36 right now. Um, Eventually, it was something that I've been like on and off with the training. Um, I used to be more high flyer. Now I kind of like backed up a bit on that, hold up a bit on that since I, had some surgeries before. Um, so I try to take care of myself a bit more on that. Um, but I've, it's been probably a month or something, or probably 2 months that I basically haven't done like a in ring training. Um, but it takes a lot. It takes a lot, especially when you have like major surgeries, and it takes a lot more when it comes mentally because you want to do everything correctly. You want to perform and you want to give 100% or more in the ring. And a lot of times we can say, hey, like we know how we go up there. We don't know how we are gonna come out of there. So thankfully enough, I've been blessed to continue and lit my mark in this industry, bit by bit.
Well, that's good. Before you ask your question, Messiah, again, we got to applaud this man. At least he's done high flying, unlike you that can't even get in a ring.
Wow. You're on a roll today. And usually I'm the one that's rolling. But
Yeah, literally.
so my question is, um, y- everybody puts a lot into their persona, and NightCrow is a very interesting name. And we said this before you came on, that your mask is awesome. What
Thank
went
you.
into that name and that persona?
Um, NightCrow is basically a rebirth, of which was a character that I portrayed before. Um, and I've always been a fan of crows, and um, you can already tell that I could like I have a crow ring right here on my neck. I have another one right here. Um, and as you guys know, like um, there's been the crow, like the movies and stuff, that mysterious stuff, and um I've always thought about this name. I never, the first time that I started my wrestling career, with another name, and another mask, I thought that was gonna be a good idea. I thought it was probably work for me. It did a bit, and then I had an accident in one of the matches. Um, a lot of people thought that I was dead. Eventually, I did die. Like I went to a cardiac arrest in the surgery and all that stuff. Um, the wars started spreading over in the island in Puerto Rico and all that. Sirens passed away, and because this, and that, blah, whatever. Even some people believed it. Um, until I basically like came back, and 2 years after, I find myself in this position where I was like, okay, what about NightCrow? What about me being a revert of Sirens? What about me being this dark persona, not a bad guy, but not a good guy. Um, and it's always been on me. Like I tried, like I've been heel, I've been babyface, and still I still have that dark persona gesture in me. My mask, uh, the mask that I already showed you guys, which is this one. Um, this was basically, this is the second look of NightCrow. Because my first mask used to be quite different, and it had like dreads. Um, for this one, I wanted to pay homage to Mystico, Dralistico, um, to that kind of like look of the character, That's why I have this, this on the mouth area. And there's a lot of similarities in my mask to, previous mask out there. But it has my own touch to it, and um, I feel, really good with this one. And like I said, like that one was black and red. This one is red and black. I trying to change a bit color schemes, and just trying new things
Nice.
without stopping being, without stop having that kind of like dark specter to it.
I like that. I like the kind of like in between characters, where you don't know where they're gonna go from like 1 minute to.
Yep.
All right, Tap. What do you got?
How did your finisher come to be?
Uh, my finisher used to be a frog splash. My finisher, that frog splash, the way that I would do it would be similar to RBD. I could jump in the air, kind of like switch up in midair, and still land on my opponent. But because for two times in different years, it caused me uh, to have a surgery. I had two surgeries because of it. Um, the first one almost ended up my life, and the second one was just my forearm. I broke my radius. But then I just started doing a similar version of the stunner, and then I kind of changed to kind of like a cutter type of thing, um, which I like to call it the crow landing. So just to kind of like take care of myself in that area where I had that major surgery, you know.
Got
All right. So, in your career, who has been one of or a few of the bigger names that you have wrestled?
Wow. Uh, um, that I wrestle or that I will love to wrestle?
Either or.
Well, I would say that I will love to wrestle. I was this close. And this is a story that I would love to, put up here. Um, Puerto Rico, there's this wrestler called Spectro. And that was one of the wrestlers that I looked up to a lot when I was in Puerto Rico. And when I was a kid, he was wrestling for IWA. Few years after me having the NightCrow persona, and I was invited to this match. It was a benefit match, and I remember when having that first mask with the dress and all that. The rumors starting spreading around Puerto Rico that there's a wrestler that it's kind of like a mini version. They call it like that, like a mini Spectral version of Spectro, which it wasn't really because there was a lot of differences even in the mask, and physique, and he's a lot taller, more muscular, and I was more like skinnier, high flyer, more kind of like athletic type body, and we this is a huge coincidence. When I got there, I didn't see him, and then when I was getting ready, I saw him in the building, and weirdly enough, he approaches to me. He was like, "Oh, so you're the guy that people have been talking about, meaning Spectro," and I'm looking at him like, oh, like oh my god, like, well, what, like, I was speechless, to be honest. I didn't know what to say, because that was basically my first time face to face with him, and I was told probably half hour after that apparently I was supposed to be in a tag match against him and his partner, which it didn't happen.
Oh, bummer.
Yes. That would have been if I can say, a dream match for me. Right now, I'll be straight up with this. If I could do a match with Dralistico or even with Ricky Banderas, that will make it for me. That would totally make it for me. Like, I would love to have the honor to be in the same ring with Dralistico or Ricky Banderas.
Very cool. So, what was the in your career? What was the match or event that where you thought, okay, this is where I belong, or this is, like I made it now?
It was uh, a bit. It was a week after, or close to the same week, where I had my radius surgery. Um, and I remember the week of the surgery, like probably like 4 or 5 days after I got my stitches off, and next day of that, the next that was Friday when I had my stitches off. Saturday, I was in the ring already,
Wow.
and to for the first time in my career at that point, it was 2014, 2015, 2015, and for me to be able to do the match, for me to be able to even win the NWG Latin American Championship, um, and to have the response of the crowd and the cheers and everything, and um, that's what made it for me. I was like, okay, so the, regardless of what I went through, um, I'm still, up for this. And this was my night. This was my day. And I was very happy about it. I think that match really made it for me. It was myself, NightCrow versus Christian Gold. He was the champion at that time, the Latin American champion for NWG. Um, so that was basically my my top match right there.
Very nice. And that's amazing to be in the ring again, like the day after you get your stitches out.
Yeah, yeah, it was scary though. It was scary because everybody was looking at me like, "Wait, are you crazy? Like, are you sure about this? Like, what the hell are you doing here?" You know? And I'm like, "No, I'm doing it. I'm doing it. I might be able to do a lot of stuff with this, but I still have this, and I still have both my legs, so I can still do it."
All right, Tab, what do you got?
Who would your who would your dream opponent be?
My dream opponent?
Yes.
So it will be Dralistico. Yeah, hands down, Dralistico. He's a great wrestler, great performer. Uh, he's very respected wrestler, and I'll totally be like hands down, like that would be my dream match right there.
I can see that. All right, Heartbreaker.
Ah, so many good questions, but you all have been missing the questions in the chat. So let's go to one of those. What is your opinion on death matches, and have you or would you ever be in one?
Uh, I'm not a huge fan of death matches, to be honest. But to each their own. Honestly, I think it's this thing about how you're going up to the ring, but at the same time you don't know how you're gonna come out. It's good to leave the 100% there for the crowd and for what you do. But um, I I'm not a fan of it, to be honest. I Every time that I get to watch a death match or something similar to it, I'm just like cringing. I'm like, why? Like, why? Why are you guys doing this? You know, you don't have to kill yourself up there.
Okay. So who trained you, and how long have you been in the business?
So I've been in the business since I was 17. Um, I started around 2007, 2005. Sorry, 2005. I started when I was in high school. I remember um, having this burning sensation in my body that I was like, I want to do this. I really want to do this. And then I have a lot of my friends that thought the same thing. We will do this backyard wrestling stuff without killing ourselves much, you know, just doing, you know, simple stuff. But one day, or I should say one night, I went to a funeral. Um, and I was outside, uh, and I started hearing the ring bumping noises, and I was like, where is this coming from? And then I noticed that all that noise was coming from across the street, the building across the street, which to my surprise, it was a person that it was friends, it was a family friend, and he was related in some way to my family. Um, I didn't know that he was in the wrestling business in Puerto Rico. So his name goes. Everybody knows him by Chago, Chago, Chago. Um, so he was basically the one that trained me, and I started seeing a familiar face going to train, which his name is Enrique Cruz. He's a very well known wrestler too in Puerto Rico and some areas of the United States. Um, and he basically became my second trainer. Which it wasn't for long, which is probably like one, like two times. But I already had this thing in me that I was performing stuff like if I already knew how to do it, like if I was trained years before that. So I was basically more of a natural. And I remember Chago telling me that I was a kid version of Chris Benoit.
Wow.
I remember him telling me that, and um, that eventually, you know, got me more into it. That passion in me started to grow a lot more to see like more like Eddie Guerrero stuff, Chris Benoit's, and Chuck Palumbo. While also watching Rey Mysterio, Billy Kidman. So that eventually got me to that type of like high flying grappling style.
Very nice. We have another question in the chat. Do you have any matches on YouTube?
To be honest, is you can see right there's a wrestling company here in Alabama called Rocket City Championship Wrestling. Um, they post all the matches on YouTube. They have the YouTube channel. They have the full events, and you can see a lot of me there. I've been wrestling for the company for a year, almost year and 3 months. Even though like recently I haven't been there, so it's been like probably like 2 months that I haven't been there.
Got you. All right, Tab, what do you got?
Now, you mentioned you grew up in Puerto Rico and you started there.
Mm-hmm.
Did any legends come into the school to give their pointers?
So when it comes to legends, like for me, legends, I would say like Carlos Colon, Invader 1, uh, Invader 3, which is the one that had the match with Bruiser Brody. Uh, that he starts bleeding through the mask and all that stuff right before Bruiser Brody passing away. Um, Legends like the Lion Apollo, which he's also from IWA. He's a well-known wrestler too. And there's another wrestler that I consider a legend, which his name is Black Pain. He was in World Wrestling Council, which is a Capital Sport Promotion company, and he was also in IWA. But massive legend, I'll say Carlos Colon. He approached me one time. He gave me a blessing. Of course, he wanted me to, just trade a lot more and, get a lot better, work my craft up.
Well, just getting a blessing from him had to be amazing.
Yeah. It was scary though because I remember approaching to Victor Jovica one afternoon in their office, and to let them know about my character and everything, and that letting them know about my interest in being in it. That was right after I did the tryouts for IWA, which that was a huge thing for me. That was basically my first in-ring match in front of a crowd. So then after that, I approached them, and then being in an independency, JWP is that company called an independent company in the southwest. Um, there were a lot of some of the wrestlers that would be in WWC, but then they will do some couple shows in the independency and all that. Which yeah, it was a big thing for me, and to hear out that after what happened to me in 2007, uh, you know, hearing from them to be like, hey, hope you get better, you know, hope to see you around soon or whatever. It meant a lot for me. It meant a lot for me.
Very cool. All right, Heartbreaker, what do you got?
I guess I'm going to ask a two-part question. If you were signed by any of the top promotions, who would you sign with, and who would your first opponent be?
I will say straight up, I will love to be in AEW. I will love to be AEW. That's why I mentioned Dralistico, because if I get the blessing to be in AEW, and if he signed with AEW as well as his brother Rush. So for me that would be a great thing. Although if I could wrestle either Commander or even Orange Cassidy, that would be great. Yeah. But I would go straight up with AEW.
Got
Okay, and then the second question is, have you ever fought anybody out of Southern California?
Out of Southern California?
Yeah.
Not in Southern California. There's there was this wrestler, and I feel quite stupid right now for not remembering the name. He's a Mexican wrestler. We wrestled in Tennessee, and I remember him telling me that he's from California, but I never been in South California at all.
Oh.
We,
Before we start, do you want to go ahead? Were you going to go with that other question there, Messiah?
I was gonna go with BJ's question.
Yep, go ahead.
We have a guy in the chat who is
Yeah, I can't see the chat at all.
Yeah, it's I don't know why. Usually the guest can, but anyway, his
All right.
He goes by Bad Blood.
Yeah, I can't see the chat at all. Like I don't see anything.
Okay, well, his name is his wrestling name is the franchise player Bad Blood.
Okay.
Go ahead, Nathan.
So he just watched a match with you and Johnny Rodriguez off of YouTube, and
Yeah.
he said it was not bad, and he would love to face you. And he's really big down here in Washington and Oregon.
Okay. Okay. Well, I've been open to getting booked, and he can approach. He can approach me, or the company can do the approach, and you know, do the settle it up.
Sounds good.
Why not? Why not? I'm open to traveling. I'm fully open to traveling, and just I like if people approach to me, like we can talk about it, and and hopefully be part of it.
Well, and there you go. That'd be a match I'd love to see. The franchise player Bad Blood versus NightCrow. I'd love to see that match.
I would love to commentate it.
I agree with that.
Okay, so anyways, we've been asking questions, so I believe it's Tap's turn. Go ahead.
If you were to choose a manager in a major promotion, who would you want to be your mouthpiece?
A manager in a major promotion. Oof. If we talk about AEW, I'll say Darby Allin.
Ooh.
If we talk about TNA, I'm trying to remember the name of the person. He used to manage Abyss.
Father James Mitchell?
Yes, James Mitchell.
Ooh.
Yep.
Ooh,
That would be my two. That would be my two to go. Even though Darby Allin's not a manager, but if it comes to that, why not?
Well, Father James Mitchell is currently in the NWA, so who knows what could happen.
Yeah, and there's people that have been in the NWA that I've been in contact with, like Mecha Wolf.
Ah, yes.
He's Puerto Rican too. We basically have wrestled in the same some of the same companies. We haven't wrestled against each other. And he's a great performer, great wrestler. And also Action Mike Jackson.
Got you.
Yeah.
All right, Heartbreaker, what do you got?
Well, not really a question, but a comment. Big Money Dodge, my man. The question was, let me restate it so you can understand it. If he had a manager in a major promotion, who would it be and why? Not in the independents, sir. Although you are a fine manager in the independents, the question was major promotion.
So I'll go if it is a major promotion. If it is TNA, I'll say Mitchell.
Yep. I was just clarifying for a guest.
Yeah, no. I get it.
Um, so you spoke about your injuries. So
Yeah.
Of the two, well, actually, we won't even go into that one because we know the worst of the two.
So I have talked about my radius. What is this bone right here? Which you can see the scar.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I also my first major injury in the wrestling business was I did a frog splash. Uh, my opponent didn't receive it correctly. Uh, so that caused for my spleen to shatter.
Oh,
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 If you don't mind, I'm going to show you something.
good. We got
oh
nice.
God!
Good almighty.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was 2007. Um, and I remember that Saturday I did a tag match. Special guest referee was Enrique Cruz. Uh, I did that frog splash. I felt like if I hit my funny bone here in the back of the elbow, and I just continued in the match. I didn't limit myself on anything.
Holy crap.
I did a there was a spot with the special guest referee at the end, which I did with him. Like then I went to locker room. I started feeling everything like being dizzy, nauseous, uh, cold sweats, you name it. I was taken to the hospital and I had to be rushed up to the surgery room because of my internal bleeding. Um, that was Saturday. I woke up Monday on ICU, all intubated and weirdly enough surrounded by nuns. Um, but I eventually recovered from that real quick. It was crazy. Like Wednesday, I was already trying to sit down. Uh, they took my breathing tubes off. Thursday, I was trying to stand up.
Wow.
Friday, because of that, they took me out of ICU to a regular room. And Sunday, they discharged me. But then that next week, Saturday, the next Saturday, I started feeling bad and throwing up, and um, I was taken to the hospital again, and they told me, "Hey, part of your intestine is tied up."
Oh,
Oh,
And I'm like, "Okay, so here we go again." I spent a month and 8 days basically on the hospital because I needed to have another surgery to get that intestine cut off and put back together.
wow!
2 years after that, I started training again and being on the ring again.
wow. Well, first of all, much respect for going through all that and coming back and still,
Yeah,
doing something you love.
yeah, and more likely, the reason why a lot of people thought that I actually passed away was because I went to a cardiac arrest, and
Mm-hmm.
apparently I got to that point where they were also like close to say, okay, so this is that time and whatever. Like, there's a limit
Yep.
Wow.
to where my brain can actually stop receiving oxygen and all that stuff.
Yep.
So they rushed on me 9 bags of blood at the same at like rushed up like one after the other,
Wow.
and It was more likely because of the whole blood pressure that I had in my stomach once the surgeon opened. Uh,
Everything rushed out.
yeah, I was told by one of the interns that he was in the surgery. He was like, when he opened you up, you just exploded with like
Ugh.
your blood just
Oh,
rushed over. It looked like a samurai movie where you cut your opponent and just blood like squirting off.
wow.
Um, so for them to make it worse, to make it worse, the surgeon had Parkinson's,
Oh,
Oh,
God.
damn.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh,
and he was on call.
Oh, God.
oh,
So apparently, when every time that he goes in surgery, all that shaking it just goes off. Like it's not there anymore. But sadly, he passed away. He passed away a few years after that. He was very old already. I think he was a bit sick also. Besides the Parkinson's, uh, but he brought me back. All those interns and nurses and everybody that was there, they did the impossible basically to bring me back. When that same night, there were three more cases of spleen rupture because of car accidents, not by
oh.
wrestling, car accidents, internal bleedings, spleen ruptures. All three of them passed away except me, and I was the worst one.
Wow. All right. Well, love your tattoos. Who does all? Do you do all your work?
Uh, I did like basically from my knuckles all the way up to halfway my bicep on my left hand, on my left arm. Um, because that's that's basically what I do as a professional
Very
outside
cool.
of wrestling. But my right hand was my right arm. This right here was done by Manny Almonte. He's a tattoo artist from New York City. Um, this one in my hand was done by Joshua Foster. He is tattoo artist in Rochester, New York. He used to be one of my coworkers. But other than that, most of it has just been myself. Oh, and this one in the neck was done by a tattoo artist here in Alabama called Kelsey Sams.
Nice. So we know how, like, people, like, in California or close to the border, like, respond to luchadors or, the mass culture and stuff. Just out of curiosity, how do the people in Alabama respond to that? Are they into that as much as like the people might be in California? Or
Uh, I mean, not much. That's one of the good things about it. Like, they respect it in a way, but then like it's that other percent of myself getting that respect, like earning it. Like, uh, I'm showing you this is what I do. This is who I am in the ring. Uh, and people has been responding very good. Especially now with my new look, you know.
that's very cool. So it's almost like you get to build like the lucha culture, or be one of
Yes,
the people that builds the lucha
yes,
culture in
yes.
Alabama.
There's some of the other wrestlers that they try to incorporate some of it. Me personally, I tried as much as possible to incorporate it
That is very, very cool.
because it's a total different world here in Alabama. Uh, the wrestling community, even the wrestlers, the way they work and all that, it's totally different.
And before I go over to Tap, that's a rarity too, to be able to be put in a position where you get to introduce somebody to
Yeah,
a whole culture.
yeah.
All right, Tap, what do you got?
Okay, I was thinking that. Oh, let me rephrase that. What is your opinion on a luchador versus a technical wrestler?
It's very close, you know.
Sorry
For,
about that. That'll go away in a minute.
for me, it's no problem at all because I can work both ways, you know. So a lot of the luchadors, when it comes to like Mexican wrestlers, uh, like a lot of them are well trained in technicality, you know, um, to be like grapplers, and uh, they learn different types of wrestling, and uh, they're very versatile on that. And I think it's a really good match. I think it could build up a really nice match.
All right, Heartbreaker, what do you got?
Not really a question, a statement. How dare you not mute your phone during podcast there, Messiah?
I'm sorry.
Don't you know that's rude and very, very, very rude to the guest?
Well, you asked your question already.
I don't have to ask a question. Remember, the boss man, the man in charge, my podcast. If I want to burn you, I will.
Well, I hope not. I almost got burnt once already. That's a...
Oh, you know what? Never mind. Go ahead and ask your question, Messiah.
So, if you could have a trios match with lucha style, who would be your partners and who would you like to be your opponent?
Ooh. Okay. If it was with me as a trio, I would say Pentagon Junior and Realistico and myself versus Commander, Hijo de Vikingo, and what about Cybernetico? Yeah. But my two choices with me as a team will be Pentagon Junior and Realistico. That would be my trios match. If I could put it together like that.
Go ahead, Tap.
Okay, it wouldn't be me if I didn't ask one.
Lord, I'm sorry for this question. I do apologize in
Go ahead.
advance.
If you were to wrestle Dominic Mysterio, what kind of match would you want against him?
Hell in a Cell. Either a cage match or Hell in a Cell. That way I don't get those buffoons of the Judgment Day stepping in and putting their hands on. And that way I can show him some respect. That'll be fun. That'll be fun to see. Especially after that huge respect that I have for Rey Mysterio and for what he has done to the business.
I would love to see that.
Me
Yeah,
too.
that'll be amazing. To be honest, that'll be amazing. If I ever had the opportunity, of course, to um, I mentioned AEW a lot, but if I get the chance to be in the WWE ring and be face to face with with Dominic, that'll be fun. That'll be fun.
Absolutely. All right, Heartbreaker, you got a question this time? And quit changing my name.
The one who pays the paint, make the paint dry.
No, Mr. Paint Drying. Why don't you ask your final question?
So, what are your future goals in pro wrestling? And you better change that back, by the way.
My goals it would be just to, just keep climbing, keep learning. Uh, um, but my goal would be hopefully to be in AEW ring. Um, I think the crowd is amazing. The staff is amazing. Uh, the wrestlers are amazing. I've heard about how locker room works, and um, if it happens to be a WWE ring, then hey, more than welcome to, But that would be my top goal to actually be noticed um, by AEW. That would be my top goal.
All right, Tab, ask your final question.
Well, I already asked my final question. I'll give it over to the Heartbreaker.
All right. Well, in closing, this podcast wouldn't be possible without the support of the CARE program, who again has done wonders for the three of us on this podcast. And as Crippled Messiah's name says, he couldn't do anything himself. So if it wasn't for the CARE program, he wouldn't have this podcast. He wouldn't have his independence, and he wouldn't have his wrestling promotion.
And as I've said on this podcast, I argue with you a lot, but I can't argue that point.
So we would like to thank you for coming on this evening and giving us a wonderful interview.
Hey, I appreciate it, guys. I'm sorry that I answered very late. It is funny because I didn't get to see the message until what was that, like a week or something ago?
About a week ago or something. But yeah.
And I was looking at the request and I'm like, wait, what? And I reached out real quick and I'm like, okay, so this was happening and I didn't knew about this. But I really appreciate, guys, your time. I really appreciate you guys accepting me accepting me in the podcast. I hope to get to meet you guys personally one day. So I'm really blessed to to keep people reaching out to me for things like this.
Well, you're welcome back anytime. And Messiah, go ahead and.
It's funny that you say that you wish you could meet us sometime. The Heartbreaker and I actually own a promotion.
Okay.
Called Inclusion Pro Wrestling, and we're actually looking to get some luchadors in the future. So,
yeah, I mean, hey, if it could work one day, I'm open to offers and all that stuff. So I'm I'm just putting it there. I'm open.
Sounds good.
Sounds very good.
I'm open.
All right. Well, again, thank you for coming. For the principal, for the man who can't do anything by himself, I'm the Heartbreaker. We'll see you in an hour with our champion and CPW champion, Andrew Michelson. So until then, please help control the pet population. Have your host and your co-host spaded and neutered. Bye.
See you later.
Thank you, guys.